All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 24th ever episode of the Failing to Success in Multifamily show, the podcast where we appreciate, discuss, and reflect on the setbacks real estate investors have had leading up to their success. Today, I have the absolute honor to have Trevor Thompson on as a guest. Trevor is a real estate investor based in Austin, Texas, who has ownership in a portfolio comprised of over 2,000 units. Incredible. From multifamily residential to medical offices, self-storage, and land development, Trevor is a seasoned investor with lots of experience under his belt. And the craziest part is he's only been able to do that in the span of less than 5 years. That is insane. Well, first of all, he's been able to accomplish all of that, not only able to accomplish that, he's been able to accomplish all of that in the span of 5 years. Not a lot of people can say that they have that amount of units in that short amount of time. Now, before his incredible real estate investing journey began, however, Trevor spent the past 45 years working as a vice president, opening and operating attraction-type businesses, and the last 20 years with iFLY Indoor Skydiving, where he opened 45 of 80 worldwide locations. Incredible background. Can't wait to dive into it. And I'm sure that behind all of his success is sacrifice, dedication, and a whole lot of hard work. So I can't wait for you all to hear his journey, his successes, but most of all, and the reason why we're all here today, his failures as he continues to reach his goals in multifamily. Trevor, welcome to the show, my friend.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know that you're incredibly busy. So I definitely appreciate, our conversation here today. But Trevor, I think I did a fairly bad job at introducing you.
Oh, you did a great job. My head's like swollen. It's big now.
Not as big as mine. So please, Trevor, give us an idea of who Trevor Thompson is.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Niagara Falls, Canada, hence my company name, Niagara Investments. And so I started working in the attractions industry very young age. So at age 13, I worked for Ripley's, believe it or not, worked there all through high school. Then I went to Guinness World of Records and I did 18 years with them and actually managed the company-owned one in New York City, opened a franchise location in Hollywood and Los Angeles, California, and just did a lot of different businesses. And then I actually was trying to open a Guinness World Records for myself in Orlando, Florida. But that particular deal fell through. But while I was negotiating to do that one, oddly enough, I opened a year-round haunted house of all things. And I spent 3 years with that. It wasn't very successful. It was kind of a scary business in more ways than one. But it was a great 3 years of my life. As everything, you can learn a lot, especially when you have challenges and things that don't go so well. And then I was recruited by iFLY Indoor Skydiving and then had a fabulous 20-year career with them. And about halfway through that, they relocated to Austin, Texas, where I'm located now.
Beautiful, beautiful. What an incredible career that you've had. You know,
It's
a
very
lot of
unique.
individuals, yeah, it's very unique. A lot of individuals don't typically go into that career path. And it sounds like you've had an amazing time,
Yeah,
which
it
I
was
love.
incredible. And,
Yeah.
when I worked for Guinness World Records, I actually had the world's tallest lady work for me and actually traveled around and she was on television shows. And then when I was with Guinness World Records, we gave Michael Jackson a Lifetime Achievement Award. So I managed to have
That's
lunch with
amazing.
him and the founder of the Guinness Book of Records. Like, not many people can say that they had lunch with Michael Jackson, and then
That's so
met
cool.
Robert Downey Jr. right after the first Iron Man movie came out. He actually came to fly in our tunnel in Hollywood, California. So it's been a blessed
Wow.
life for sure.
That is so cool. Oh my God. A lot of people are stuck in their office or, stuck at home working. You were really, really out there, not
Yeah.
only having a good time, but also traveling and, meeting all sorts of great,
Yeah, it
great
was an
individuals.
incredible journey. I loved it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So give us some background about, where you currently live and where you currently invest.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, our very first team meeting with iFLY, the original owner of the company gave us all a copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. and said that you
Interesting.
need to figure out how to create passive income. And I did what
Wow.
so many people did. I read that book. It was, wow, this is incredible. And I put it on the shelf and I kept doing everything the same way I was doing before. Completely like just squandered many years of my life just being afraid of real estate investing, to be honest, and just
Mm,
being intimidated by it and not understanding what's involved in it and how you can actually passively invest. You know,
yeah.
everybody's afraid of the toilets, tenants, and trash, and I definitely was. And then iFLY got bought out by a private equity company, and I got a payday. And the amount of taxes they took on payday made me start thinking back to that book. And he talked about where, you know, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep, and
Yeah.
all the different quadrants between employee all the way to investor. And I thought, man, I blew this. I could have been more prepared for this. And so now I have no excuse, right? It was always, I don't have time and money. Well, now at least I had
Mm,
some of the money to do it, which has helped me be, you know, invested in several deals. And so I just started researching real estate investing. And then I went to this weekend seminar and they talked about investing in multifamily. And it just
mm,
blew my mind, literally blew my mind that this was a business. You know, they were a group of people that were professionals in that space, buying
mm,
a business, doing incremental improvements to the business and increasing the value. And then I started thinking back to the rich dad, poor dad of the power of leverage and the power of all the different things. And my
yeah.
mind was just opened right up. And literally within a week of signing up, I made my first passive investment.
Wow.
You know, I might have waited a little longer and got a little more educated, but I was so anxious to make my first investment. And then from there,
That's
it's
amazing.
somewhat history that I started investing a lot, and I got big chunk of my funds moved over, but I still had a lot in the stock market. And then, you know, we
Mm.
all know what the stock market can do. It's volatile. So I
Oh yeah.
literally woke up, you know, kind of when COVID started to shut the world down, and I'd lost a third of my net worth. And I went, wow, lesson number two. Like, first of all, I paid all these taxes that I didn't have any shelters or anything to do with it. Then I still left a big chunk of my money in the stock market because I wasn't fully divested out. And I lost a third of my net worth and woke up in the morning and it was gone. And I had no control over it, right? It was
Mm,
so like I was in shock, like just sitting there looking at it going, holy moly. And then as it started to build up, you know, it would reach a certain point, I would pull a bit more out. Reach a certain point, I would pull a bit more out. I got the rest out, not quite at the top, but close enough. To be
mhm.
honest, the only thing that's left there is a couple of winners. Why not just let them ride? And all my losers, and I have a sell order when I get within only lose 10% of my money, sell it. And, you know, so I'm pretty much out of it, you know, just to get out of it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. One of the questions that I always love to ask our guests is, you know, there always seems to be that that moment, right? It's that light bulb moment where you realize, oh, real estate is the vehicle that I want
Yeah.
to pursue, right? And it's there's always that other moment where it's the proof of concept moment where you finally realize that, you know, after all of the education and all of the time learning about the business, you finally realize, oh, this actually works,
Yeah.
and this is the direction that I see myself heading in the future. For you, right? You know, it sounds like an incredible career, lots of fun, lots of, you know, meeting great people. You could have gone into many different assets, you know, asset classes, right? You know, real estate is
Yeah.
just one of the millions of vehicles that you can use to accomplish wealth and financial freedom. Why real estate? You know, why that specifically for you?
Well, definitely because real estate, you're buying a real asset, and a real asset that not only produces cash flow, but appreciates in value. So the big
Mm-hmm.
difference between stock market, in theory, you're buying a piece of paper and you have no control over its value, right?
Yeah.
You're just buying this and you have no control. Like Elon Musk can do a tweet and you go broke or you make money, and this, and how in the
No
world
in
does that
between.
happen, right? He
Right.
makes a tweet and like the world changes. How
Yeah.
can that happen? And so, it's a different, definitely when I saw, okay, and then when I got the idea, you're buying a real business and you're buying a
Hmm.
necessity business, right? People
Hmm.
need a place to live. And even
Yeah.
more people are renting versus buying. And especially
Hmm.
right now, interest rates are pretty high. So it's a hard time for someone to become a first time homeowner. So they're staying in the rental cycle by choice longer, or by they just can't afford to get out of it. And I started seeing this, and then I started to get the concept of we're taking a community and we're making it a better place to live. And I thought, oh,
Yeah.
I like that. And I went to a couple of webinars and they talked about like buying all of the school age children in their complex back to school backpacks full of all the supplies they needed. And I
Love
thought,
that.
that's amazing. Like, oh, I want to invest in somebody that does that. And they gave out turkeys at Thanksgiving, and they did a combination of using social services and different things and a little bit of money. And I just thought, oh, this is so, I just didn't understand that, right? I just
Yeah.
didn't understand that concept of making communities better.
Yeah. Yeah. No, literally, right? It's I could not agree with you more. Real estate is not just about, your ROI. It's not just about um equity multiple, right? It's really, you have the power to affect communities, and you have the power to affect the direction of people's lives.
Yeah.
Um and so it's just such an incredible, satisfying, you know, investment vehicle.
And then you start looking at how things are positioned to make it even more powerful than it is on its own.
Mhm.
So, a lot of people are able to get non-recourse debt. I had no idea that this thing called non-recourse debt existed. I had no idea that if you increase the NOI by $1, you earned about $5 or $6 for that dollar that you got because of the multiplier of the cap. I didn't understand any of those things. And when I
Yeah.
started seeing the power of it, that other businesses don't have that power, right? If they make $100,000, they make $100,000. But if you improve in the multifamily business by $100,000, in theory, you create about $500,000 in value for the resale of it. And a lot of
Mhm.
people don't understand that. And I started to see, wow, this is super powerful how it can get leveraged and get brought up. It
Absolutely.
was super, it was just mind blowing to me that happened.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to those of you listening, when Trevor mentions non-recourse debt, he's talking about a type of loan that lenders give out to individuals buying property, where if, let's say, the individual borrowing the loan isn't able to repay off that debt in a specific amount of time, um, the lender cannot come after that individual's personal assets.
Yeah.
That's in simple terms. And then the other side of the coin is recourse debts, which is most common. Is if you're not able to repay that debt in a specified amount of time, then that lender can come after your asset. And more oftentimes than not, in our industry, Trevor, we work with non-recourse debt, which is oftentimes more
Yeah.
attractive. So yeah, so now you are in the industry, right? You are very quick in making your first investment. Um, to a lot of individuals, me included, as we know, this is a very relationship-based business.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can take a lot of time for individuals to take off into their first investment, right? Um, Now, talk to me about that first initial, um, I guess, venture that you took, right? What
Yeah.
what did
So
it take
I
for you?
I was terrified. Okay.
Yeah.
And I actually joined the local mentoring program. I don't want to mention them. And I'll
Sure.
be honest, my first two investments, I actually made five investments through the lead sponsor on that group.
Oh,
And
nice.
I've gotten into the higher level ones, and now I'm actually switching and would not reinvest with them, which
Mm,
is interesting because I've learned a little more. So my first two passive investments, I actually only got my money back. And there was a couple of big mistakes made that I didn't understand. So a
Mm,
couple of things that I didn't understand was how aggressive Texas is in collecting real estate taxes. And they hadn't budgeted enough for what they were gonna, their tax rates were gonna go up to.
mm,
They hadn't budgeted enough for insurance. So, Texas had a couple of catastrophes, Katrina, and few years ago, Snowgeddon, we called it, where we actually got snow in Austin, Texas.
crazy.
And I lost water. I was melting snow to flush my toilet. It's quite remarkable that you live in this hot climate and you got to do that. And
Oh
anyways,
yeah.
I went through all of these things, and so I learned a few things. I also learned to do a little more due diligence on the rent bumps that people are talking about. Are they achievable? And
Mm,
it's not that complicated to get there, right? So you can pretty much find out what the current rents are at a place, and then you can find out what people are making in the area. And you
yeah.
basically want to make sure that they're making three times what the rent is. So if your
Mhm,
rent is $1,000, you want somebody making $3,000 a month in average in your area.
yeah.
And what had happened is when I sat back and went backwards and calculated the rent after I'd already invested, and I actually got involved helping out a little bit more, I started to realize that three times was unachievable, 2.5 times was
Mm,
achievable, but we were really struggling to get qualified tenants,
mm,
which made, they talked about $100 rent bumps, and we were struggling to get $45 rent bumps. And
mm,
so again, that hurt the economics of the deal. And they had a couple of purchases in a row where I think they got a little cocky and just thought, oh, we'll be okay. And so again, my first two with them, we got out fairly quickly with only our money back, which was better than losing your money. And then my other two investments, they went real well with them. And I have a third that is still doing okay. That's the retail one. It was a little struggle because of COVID and a few other things, but
mm.
it's chugging along pretty good. And it looks like probably by about the middle of next year, they'll have a sale event, and it will turn out to give good returns.
Beautiful,
But
beautiful,
getting to
beautiful.
know people is hugely important. So I'll
Yeah.
talk a little bit more about that. So as I learned that, I thought, okay, I thought I knew them and I thought I knew enough about it. I need to study more about that. I need to get with more people and I need to start doing things. So shortly after that, I made one of my first out of Texas investments. And I actually followed this group for a year. I went to
Mm,
every webinar they did, every whether it was a webinar for a new investment, just a webinar doing education. They actually offered training on asset manager, which is what I want to be. So I went to a free training, then I paid to go to a paid training, and I just got to know them a little better. And it made me feel really more comfortable working with them. And it's turned out to date to be my best investment. So
nice.
so when I'm averaging out my five that have gone full cycle, first two made nothing, middle two did pretty decent. Fifth
Yeah.
one was a home run, like 3x my money in 20 months. Not a
Wow.
normal return, but I'll take it. Thank you very much. And I actually rolled over into another investment with that group. And I've actually recommended a few friends invest as well.
That's
And,
beautiful.
and so that was really good, but the majority of the investments are chugging along at a decent rate.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think you've done a great job here at highlighting um the next portion of our show here is what you learned about a deal that may not necessarily have gone the right way, right? You mentioned a few different things, one of them being the economics of
Yeah,
a specific deal that you invested in that didn't necessarily fit the initial underwriting. And even as an LP, knowing like what you're getting into, right?
yeah,
Knowing what kind of due diligence you need to know ahead of time prior to getting into a deal. Rent to income ratio
yeah,
is one of the first things that we learn into the, what,
yeah,
like, when you get into the industry as a landlord, is you want at least three times
yeah,
the income for whichever rent you're going to charge. And that's just like a great metric to gauge whether or not your investment is going to be consistent. And I'm so glad that you picked up on that. Now, was it before or only after the deal had
So
gone?
after I'd invested in it and during it,
Gotcha.
to be honest, they had several deals that were struggling that they'd got in at the same time. And I
Mhm.
actually volunteered to help so I could learn more. And
Nice.
at the time, I had an unusual work schedule, which gave me some weekdays off. So I
Nice.
volunteered to help an asset manager. And then they ended up removing that asset manager. And I was in theory, the asset manager for the group. And then they ended
Wow.
up removing the property management company. We went to self-managing. So I got quite the education as an LP. There's a
Wow.
video on it on my YouTube channel if anyone's interested. It's called the LP Story from Hell. But it wasn't really because I learned so much. Now,
Yeah.
would I have liked it to gone a little better? Definitely. Would I have liked to make money? Definitely. But I never in a million years could have paid for what I learned, right?
Yeah.
Because I learned a lot about what you need to do. And I also learned a lot, and I'll be honest, not even the fact that they didn't make money, it was how they communicated with their investors. Um,
Mm,
there is going to be problems. And I want to invest in a group that's going to tell me, hey, Trevor, we've got some problems going on here. We've got this, we're in a county that's hard to evict during this or that, or we got this, or we missed this, and here's our plan to fix it.
mm,
As a passive investor, I've come to value the communication much more
I
because
agree.
and the more honest the communication, to be honest, I like it. I'll be honest, the deal that 3x'd my money at the very beginning, they struggled to get a property turned around. I mean, they had a lot of month-to-month tenants. They had a lot of delinquency. They had a lot of Section 8, which is, basically you can't really increase the rent and it's harder to get the tenant out. And but they did it, and they always
Mhm.
announced a plan. Hey, listen, this is where we are. This is what's happening, and we've had to. It's taken longer to get rid of some people. It's taken longer to fill them once we got rid of them because we haven't reset the position of the property. But they
Yeah.
managed to get it all reset. They communicated it all, and then it was a huge win for everybody
Beautiful.
because they got enough turned around that was appealing to the next buyer to finish the cycle. Basically, left enough
Mhm.
room for them to also have a great investment.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much for pointing that out, Trevor. I'm sure that it's going to bring a lot of values to any investor with any type of experience level. Now, let's dive into the second to last portion of our conversation here, which is mindset. Trevor, you have ownership in over 2,000 units, various asset classes. I'm sure that you've had your fair share of ups and downs, hopefully more ups than downs, obviously. Now, when a problem comes up, and as you know, things do come up every now and then. Like, what is the one word that would describe you in a situation when there's challenges, or in a situation when things don't go the way that you would expect it to go, or you fail?
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it's kind of simple that you only lose if you don't get back up again.
yes.
Like you can get knocked down a lot. It's just getting back up again, right? And at the end of the day, the guy or girl who just keeps getting back up again and taking the slogging or taking the problems or doing whatever, that's how you get a victory, right?
Hmm.
If it's not easy, if it was easy, there'd be lots of people doing this, right? If it was natural. So it's really just having this like, you know, um, I hate losing more than I like winning, because you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that thing going and just wake up every day. And the interesting thing was, right? I had no idea I was going to become passionate about real estate investing. No idea,
Mm.
right? I was very passionate about my indoor skydiving and my team and my company and all of these things. I never thought I would fill that void. But seeing that you're making communities better, you're giving investors the chance to reach financial independence. All of these things have added up and given me a new passion, right? It's
Yeah.
a kind of a way to make the world a better place. and share what I've learned with others. And I've become super passionate about it. And when I'm
Love it.
passionate about something, I'm contagious, right? Have you ever read a book called The Purple Cow? And in there they have the sneezers. They sneeze all over everybody and infect them. And they're the
I
people that
love
are just
that.
like, I love it, right? And they can't help talking about it. Then that's me a lot. I just like talking about it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. What a great way to describe who you are, not only as a person, but also as an investor, right? I think you did an amazing job at describing what your values are, which is not only to make money, but also to help individuals within the communities that you invest in, but also the investors, right? Which at the end of the day are our most valuable asset in any deal, to also help them achieve that financial freedom. Now, let's dive into the final questions here, which is all about you, Trevor, is understanding what your goals are for the rest of the year. What are you cooking as a GP and as an LP? Obviously there's 2-3 months left. So tell us a little
Yeah.
bit more about the rest of the year and what else you have going on for 2023.
So if everything is correct, I'm a week away from closing on my second GP deal. It's been a loan assumption that's taken a long time. My goal is to do 3 more deals within the year. I'd like to get on 1 more deal. I got a call later today, and then I'd like to do 3 more where I'm a co-GP. In other words, where I'm one of the lead sponsors in a deal.
Nice.
And I've set myself a goal. It's a big goal to help 1,000 people reach financial independence through real estate investing. I started out with 100, and then Grant Cardone did 10x it to 1,000. And I think I can do that because I don't have to give it to everybody. I just have to talk enough about it that people feel empowered. And whether they invest with me, invest with you, invest with some of these other sponsors that I talk about, then we'll be able to start creating that, right? I just want to create this environment where people understand what I was afraid of for all those years. Because I didn't start till I was in my 50s. If I had started at your age doing what I'm doing now, my life would be totally different because that money compounds and really grows in value quickly, especially when you start doing it in a tax reduced manner. Really grows quickly.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, what is the one thing that would help you in your business as of right now, right? Like you mentioned that you're looking to help 1,000 individuals achieve financial freedom. First of all, what does that look like? How do you help individuals achieve
So
financial
by
freedom?
teaching them the power of passive investing, all of the tax advantages of passive investing,
Mhm.
Warren Buffett says if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you'll work till you'll die.
Yep.
And financial independence doesn't mean we're all multimillionaires, right? It means that you have choices in life, right? We have worked hard, we've set a portion of our savings aside, we've smartly invested that into real estate. We're creating tax-free passive income through real estate, and we
Mhm.
continue to keep building that nest egg. And then
Yep.
financial independence means you have choices. One of the spouses cannot work anymore. You can put kids through
Mhm.
children. It's not all we're multimillionaires flying around on yachts and driving our Lamborghini to our yachts. That's not financial independence, right? Financial
Absolutely.
independence means if something happened to me today that I couldn't work tomorrow, I've made
Mhm.
some choices that this passive income, this income that's generated, so my money's earning money, I'm not earning money. And if I ever
Mhm.
lose the capability for me to earn the money, my money will keep working for me. And that's
Absolutely.
what financial independence is. And again, it doesn't always mean that you don't end up in your job. It just means that you have many more choices in your life. And starting early is powerful, right? Don't wait to buy real estate
That's
anyway.
the end way. Love that.
You want to start it out again. I didn't start till I was in my 50s. Big mistake. I wish I'd have started, when I first read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I actually wish I'd have started when I was earlier, because you can start small and grow from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, to anybody listening, Trevor is a, you know, as you've heard up to this point, he is a well-seasoned investor, and frankly, one of the only guests that we've had on the show who has such an incredible perspective from a limited partner standpoint. And now he's actually an operator. He is a general partner in two deals and more deals to come as well. So, to anybody looking to invest with Trevor, please reach out to him. He would be the best person to really guide you through what it takes to be a great limited partner as well, as he's done for so many years. So please reach out to him. And on that note, Trevor, where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so my website is niagara-investments.com. My email is pretty simple at ktt@niagara-investments.com. And then LinkedIn is a really good place to reach out for me. So it's K Trevor Thompson. And if you find me there, and if you mention anywhere in when you do an introduction, send a little message. I saw you in a podcast. I always accept. I'm always happy to set up an appointment to talk with people. The one thing now that I'm looking for, right, which is going to help me grow is investors, right? Because
Yes.
It's the combination of bank leverage with investor debt that allows us together, right? I can't buy an apartment complex by myself yet, and so I need partners, I need investors, and I need bank debt. And the combination of those three allow us to buy more than we normally would be able to buy.
Absolutely. And Trevor, I'll put all of your contact information in the show notes. That way individuals can reach out to you, not only to learn more about the business, to learn more about how to be a limited partner, but just to also, connect with you as a person, because I think they would, just gain a lot of knowledge, from your experience and from the industry as well. So I really appreciate you for coming on. I have had an amazing time chatting with you. Any final thoughts here for our listeners before we roll down the curtains?
Yeah, I think I've already said them over and over again, but buy real estate and wait. Don't wait to buy real estate. And a lot of people think find a way just to get in. If you're a young person, then look at Bigger Pockets and learn how to house hack. Rent out your bedrooms. Everybody thinks, well, I can't invest like Trevor did. He got this windfall of money when his company got bought out and all those things. Yeah, of course I got that. But if I'd have known what I know now, I'd have been house hacking. When I first got married, I would have been buying my first duplex and having people live next door. Then I would buy a fourplex and then an eightplex. And you can build your wealth a lot. And real estate is a very powerful vehicle to get there. Now, passive investing lets you get there without toilets, tents, and trash, right? All the things I mentioned before this, you got that. But at the end of the day, right, as long as you're building, if your money is working for you, that's the difference, right? You don't work for your money works for you. 90% of all millionaires got there through real estate. Pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it really, really is. It really, really is. Trevor, thank you so much for coming on once again. Really, really appreciate you. Guys, it's been Tini Colin and Trevor, the Niagara. Did I say that correctly?
What's that?
The Niagara investor?
Niagara.
Trevor,
just like
the
Niagara Falls.
Signing off. Thanks, guys.